Hi everybody! I'm so glad that you're here for this video. So probably you've seen my story. If you haven't, go back and watch it. It's on my YouTube channel. You have heard me begging you to check out this work, this emotional exercise to relieve chronic pain, and trying to convince you that it's real, and you're wondering, okay, what is it? I hear you, this thing is real, but what is it? And that's what I want to tackle today. I want to tackle what is PPD, what is TMS, and what do we do about it? So I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for tuning in and trusting me to share this information with you. Okay, so first of all, TMS was the abbreviation that was used when this first idea of mind-body illness was getting started. Now, the up-and-coming thinkers prefer to use the term PPD, so that's what I'll use. PPD stands for psychophysiological disorders, and that is symptoms, real in your body that you can look at and point to, that are created by altered neural pathways in the brain that affect the body. So let me make sure that you hear right now, it is real. The pain that you're feeling is real. The uncomfortability you're feeling is 100% real. It is not in your head. You are not making it up. I hear you. It is real. I have felt it myself. I know that it can leave you absolutely bedridden, leave you on the floor, make you cancel out from work. Nobody is going to take that away from you. But the really good news about this is if this comes from altered neural pathways in the brain, then we can reverse them through these exercises. So what symptoms count as PPD? And first of all, I want to say if you are having anything weird, please go to a doctor first to get that checked out. You want to make sure that it's not cancer or an organ malfunction or a tumor, because that would be just horrible. But once you get that checked out and you're in the clear as it's not something that needs immediate medical attention, please come back here and check this out. So here's a list of things that could be presenting in your body that could be PPD. It's a long list, so strap in, get ready. So headache, back pain, chest pain, muscular joint pain, abdominal and pelvic pain, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, nausea, IBS, discomfort in the bladder or during urination, pelvic floor dysfunction, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. I have also seen skin things like rashes go away, extreme allergies. Sometimes people that feel very weak, like their body just easily gets sick, those can all be PPD, and so much more that I can't even think of right now. That was just kind of off the top of my head and from the website. So we have learned in this Western medical model that pain, and by pain I mean any of the things I listed above, any digestional discomfort, any difficulty that you're having in your body that doctors can't figure out what's going on. We have learned that pain equals pain, and there's a reason for it. It is nociception, and then you take a pill or you do surgery and then it goes away and that's it. But it is actually far more complicated than that. And I'd love to share a quote with you that I think explains this so well about how the concept of pain is very intricate in our bodies. And it comes from Michelle Grimm, who is a physician's assistant at Northwestern. And she says, both the physical body and the mind, all the ways we think about ourselves, the world, all stored emotions and past experiences affect the way our brain determines pain. Pain is an alert system. It is a perceptual process. It's an alarm telling us that we are in danger and need to change our behavior to avoid harm. This means that you can experience pain without any true tissue damage. So here's the deal. Let's make this simple. Experiencing childhood trauma, number one, and that can be a trauma you would find on the ACE scoring system, or it could just be anything that you wouldn't want to happen to your own child. That will count as something negative that your body is holding on to. So experiencing a negative childhood, experiencing a large amount of daily life stressors, which we all do. It is stressful to be a human on this earth. And then number three, having a personality that doesn't process emotions in a compassionate way. So being an overachiever, being a perfectionist, being a goodist, somebody that really wants other people to see them as a good person. All of those things make us more likely to receive typical input as danger. And then our brain will receive stress and negative emotions as danger and create pain to keep us safe. I'll explain a little bit more about why our brain thinks that that's safe in a second. So then our work is to show the nervous system that stress and feelings are not dangerous. We can feel them in a safe way and we will not die because our nervous systems are very primitive. That's the, the reptile part of our brain that thinks that death is imminent from these dangers. So the process of doing this is learning more about mind-body medicine and the connection, and I'll link a bunch of resources in the comments or in the bio. Exploring breathing and meditation exercises that help us transfer our body into a state of calm and rest and repair. And most importantly, making a concentrated effort to access and express feelings that communicate danger to the brain. So primarily those can be shame, rage, grief, guilt, anything else that's negative and scary through writing. Doing that on purpose. Okay, so if your head's spinning a little bit, don't worry. Some people learn best through quotes and scientific evidence and things being explained in a very factual, logical way. And then some people learn a bit better in a heart language way. So if you are a little bit confused, let's make this more practical. Let's do a quick little exercise. Imagine that you are at Trader Joe's after a long day of work, your boss was mean, you didn't get everything done you wanted to, and the kids are at home and they need to eat and they need to finish their homework, which they put off to the last second. And you need to run in and out of Trader Joe's and be home. And then you get there and the line is super long. It's just a zoo. You're not getting out of there in under an hour. So what do? Probably you take a deep breath and you get really cranky, but you go through Trader Joe's and don't make a scene and then you go home. But probably what you want to do is just scream. Say, I am over this. I hate that this is taking so long. I hate that I have to make these kids dinner. Why do they always procrastinate on their homework? And why am I the one that has to help them? I don't even want to make dinner. Do they need to eat every day? I don't want to pay for these groceries. I want to take the groceries and walk out and never actually go back to work again. And I wish my life was easy. And why is everything so hard? But if you did that, you would be kicked out of the store. So you don't. So then our question is, where do all of those feelings go? So think about that as we do the second visualization of imagining that you're on the phone with your dad and you're telling him about something really disappointing. And he goes, you've always been so sensitive like that. And in that moment, you're feeling misheard and blamed, like you're being called dramatic, and you're feeling very frustrated about that situation. But then you're also feeling the weight of when you were 6 years old and you lost a soccer tournament and some girl was mean to you and you just wanted a hug and your dad said, oh, stop being so sensitive, you're making a scene. And you learned that I am too much. People don't love me the way that I am. I am too dramatic. And then the next time your first boyfriend made you feel that way. And then when your best friend couldn't hear your feelings and you felt really alone. And then when your husband makes you feel that way now. And then when you feel that being a mother and you feel the weight of all of those wounds all at once in that moment. Not consciously, because if you did, you would explode. So your brain can't let in all of those feelings at that time, but that is what your heart and your body are experiencing. So you go, okay, Dad, and then you kind of move along, and maybe later that day you have a little bit of a headache and you just have a cranky day. So where do all those feelings go? Those things that got brought up. So I just feel like the quote lady, because I'm always just sharing quotes from people way smarter than me. So I'm here on this earth to be a learner. But my sweet Brene Brown always says there's no such thing as an unfelt feeling. So those feelings don't get unfelt, but they need to express themselves. And so they will express themselves in your body. So going back to what we learned before, your body goes, oh my gosh, she is feeling shame and rage and fear and frustration. And you know what? If she feels all of that, she might die. So here's a headache and here's some back pain and here's some IBS. And now you can think about that instead of thinking about the 25 years of shame and rage in your life. That's going to keep you safe. Which, if you're hearing that, sounds a little bit cuckoo, because if you're in pain right now, you're saying nobody would choose this. Nobody would choose this over feelings. And I know that feeling, but our brains are so confused. And they think if we feel the weight of all of this, we will die, because if we feel this rage and shame, that means that we're not a good person. That means that nobody's ever going to love us. And those aren't true, but that's what our brain thinks. And so to keep us safe, it says, here's a bunch of pain. Oof. Our bodies express the rage that we don't have the space to feel. So Dr. Sarno, he is the father of mind-body medicine. He was the one that kind of created this. He called it a reservoir of rage. About all throughout our life, we put these experiences in that we couldn't feel and process all the way. And so then it is our job to ladle those out day by day, consistently, with concerted effort, so that they don't build up and need to express themselves in our bodies. So the really good news about all of this is that this is fixable. We were made to complete an emotional cycle all the way. If you watch a 5-year-old, you watch them, they experience true rage that you did not give them a brownie for dinner, and they'll scream and they'll cry and they'll want to be alone, and maybe they'll say something mean, and then in 10 minutes they're done and they're ready to move on. And we can be that way too. Our emotions want to complete themselves. What happens, and when we experience uncomfortability and dis-ease, is when we fight that process and we don't finish the whole emotional experience. And then that's when we make our poor choices. That's when we feel so uncomfortable inside, so we eat an entire pint of ice cream, or we yell at our kids, or we just veg out in front of the TV and disconnect from the world. So our emotions really want to finish themselves. And that's when we are able to move on. That's when our body knows, okay, we're done. This is safe. There is no danger here. And we can be well. So this is the area where we need to teach ourselves. How do you finish the emotional process? How do you empty out that reservoir? And so who do we look to teach us? There's a lot of thinkers out here in the mind-body world, a lot of physicians, therapists, social workers, but the one that I find is the most accessible and easy to follow is my girl, Nicole Sachs. I'll link all of her stuff below, and she teaches this process called journal speak, which essentially, boiled down, this is the basics version, is 20 minutes of journaling every day in a language that is extremely honest, guttural, real. That's your 5-year-old self. You don't have to filter this. You don't have to say, but I know, I know they were trying their best. You just get to say whatever your inner self, your inner 5-year-old self is feeling or thinking. And that can be irrational. It can feel crazy. And you can just rant and rage, and then going through and pulling out old emotions of when I was 6 and my parents got divorced. How did that feel for me? Shining a light on that experience. And through that, we pull out this reservoir. And you rage and you vent and you just say everything that you were not allowed to express when you were 10 years old, that you're not allowed to express now. You're not allowed to scream and shout in the supermarket. So then you scream and shout that in your journal speak for 20 minutes and you empty that out. Then you do 10 minutes of meditation to heal your nervous system, to bring it out of fight or flight and into rest and repair, to let it know we're safe. We did the hard thing. We said the ugly emotions that we knew if we said we would not be accepted by society. And we're safe. And the cool thing about journal speak, my favorite thing, is that once you say it, it doesn't stay true. We know it's not true that you hate your mom. We know it's not true that you hate being a mom, that you regret marrying your husband, that you wish you never had to work again. We know that those things are not true, but there's a little 5-year-old that wants to say those things and have a fit. So once you let them have their fit and express that, then it's not true anymore. Erase it, get rid of it, it's done. Meditate and say, we're safe. It's okay to feel things that may not be appropriate. Just appropriate, whatever we've learned that is. So here's the deal. That's the basics of it. That's the rundown. That's what I've learned. You can absolutely do this work on your own, and I'm going to link every single resource in the bio. If you want to do it on your own, more power to you. I did it and it was great. I will say it took me 2 years of intensive work, but you absolutely can. But if you would like to go a little bit quicker in this process and maybe get a better look at what this would look like for you specifically, my next video on my channel is going to be about what I have to offer, how I can make this work practical for you, and new community programs that I'm going to be putting out there, and the benefits of doing this work in community with people that understand what you're going through. So check that out, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.